Sports with Scott Cohen, weather with Brian Lapis, and the 22 News Storm Team. This is the WHMP.
Well, there's plenty of signs that you can look at around town that have John Riley's name on it. New vision, new voices, repeal the tax. John Riley is a candidate for mayor running against three-term mayor now, David Narkowitz. John Riley is with us this morning. Good morning.
Hey, Bob, thanks for having me on the show. As a challenger, it's good to get all the publicity that I can. I'm still sort of an unknown, even though I do have all of those signs, even though I have lived here in town for 42 years.
42 years?
42 years.
Jeez.
Even though I did co-found the Iron Horse approximately 40 years ago. I did start the Globe Bookshop. I have owned my own bookshop, Gabriel Books, for almost 24 years. So a lot of people know me, but a lot of people don't. I haven't been in politics before. That's probably why.
Is that a healthy thing, or a lot of people do say that you're not a career politician, and in fact, people run for national office boasting that. Is that a big thing, you think? Is that significant?
I think it's good for me. I have been involved in the city. I have been involved with the libraries, the schools, the museums. I'm a volunteer producer at NCTV, and I have worked promoting all of those entities here in town, helping doing fundraising for the Cancer Connection or the library. So I have been very involved in the city. I just haven't been involved in the political side, and this is going to be my chance to do that. It's my chance to give back, to have a voice. I felt it was my time to get involved. I didn't like the way the government was going. I experienced that firsthand as the leader of the group that was fighting the stormwater tax.
Some people do call you a one-issue candidate. I know that's not to be true, but you have been identified as such because of the stormwater. Can you talk about that for a minute? Because I know you had a group that tried to get this on the ballot and everything else, and you kind of denied that. So talk about a little bit about the background, why you got involved in that, and where it is now.
Well, thanks for asking, Bob. We have been doing this for a year. I started with a small group of people, my campaign manager, Anthony Patillo, Crystal Willard of the Willard family, John Lind, another group of people, and we saw this as an overreach by the city government, a bad precedent to start charging fees for services that are actually not delivered. What struck me and got me worked up is I live on Turkey Hill Road.
Where's Turkey Hill Road again?
It's on the far western side of Northampton. If you go to the Ryan Road and then go up.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have any stormwater drains. We don't have any sidewalks. We don't have any gutters. And the water that comes off of my land runs down Turkey Hill Road into Parsons Brook, which runs into the Manhan River, which runs into East Hampton. When I called the DPW and I complained that I'm paying $250 a year in tax for this so-called service, they told me that they maintained my road. Now, I already pay taxes for that. My taxes keep going up. I pay taxes
They're telling
to
you
maintain the roads.
The money that would be collected in the Stormwater Fund is to maintain roads.
It's to maintain the stormwater system. And what's happened with the DPW is that they've expanded everything in the city to all of a sudden be stormwater related. So if they buy a new truck, if they have to patch a road, if they need to buy a computer, that can be included in the stormwater utility fee. That is really kind of the heart of what we object to. It's a very unscientific determination of how we're being charged this money. I am only one person with a story like that. Anybody that you see with that poster on their lawn has a similar story. They have water that's not going into the city system. It may be coming onto their property from city roads, and they're being charged.
Scare tactic is the words that you have used.
Scare tactic is exactly what happened. The city council threw up photographs of the flood of 1938, and this could happen again. Well, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers came in 1940, built dikes, built dams on the Connecticut River, and asked the city to maintain those dikes. That was the deal. They would build it, the city would maintain it. The city didn't maintain it. 40 years later, after Hurricane Irene, the Army Corps of Engineers came back and said, you haven't maintained these dikes. They are not up to code. You've let trees grow, you've let brush grow. So the city said, okay, well, we better get it together and fix these dikes. They used that as a scare tactic to get $2 million a year as a fee. It only cost $400,000 to repair those dikes. And what really is galling is they borrowed that money to fix the dikes. They borrowed $400,000. They didn't use the stormwater fee to fix the dikes, which was really the premise for getting this whole thing started. So, we're paying twice. I'm all for fixing the dikes. I don't want the city to flood. And that dike will protect us. The Army Corps of Engineers has certified that.
When you call it unscientific, there was formulas that were put together, and a number of people had different kinds of formulas as to how to charge the taxpayers for this. People who follow this, it's kind of bewildering. Can you comment on that a little bit about what your take was on?
You can get
form?
lost in the weeds real quick
Yeah.
when you start looking at that. The stormwater utility fee booklet that explains how it is calculated and how it works is approximately 150-page document. At meetings, at hearings, people stood up and said, nobody's read this. Nobody knows what's in it. We don't know what is going on here. And true enough, we didn't know how much we were going to pay until we got our first bills a year after that utility was passed, that ordinance was passed. At that time, people said, oh God, I'm paying all this money. I didn't know it was going to cost this much. I had no idea. I thought we were going to repair the dikes, but now we're paying $2 million a year. At that point, we got together and we said, let's go to the city council. Let's try to repeal this thing. And we went very politely and asked for them to change it. We didn't hear back from them. They didn't respond. We said, well, we'll go to the next level. We will get a petition. We will get the requisite number of signatures that it takes to get something on the ballot. We tried that. The city solicitor said, nope, you can only challenge an ordinance within 3 weeks of it being passed. We didn't get our bills until a year later. The DPW did not explain where the money was going until 2 years later. We felt we had a real case to challenge this. The city council did not side with us. The city council did not listen to us. We felt
the Northampton Taxpayers Association that you're
yes,
part of the group that you're.
yes. The city council did not listen to us. The city solicitor denied our chance to get this on the ballot, which should have been, in the first case, this should have been on the ballot. The city council doesn't really have a right, in my opinion, to start passing ordinance to tax us. We get to vote on that. If there's an override, we get to vote. If there's a new tax on something, we get to vote on it.
Where does this all stand now?
It's in place.
Where's your opposition to it? Where does that stand?
Well, that's why I started running for mayor. We failed to get it past the city solicitor. We feel that the city solicitor was making policy. We know that the city solicitor works for the current mayor. That's a fact. We've heard that from the city council, that he is in the employ of the mayor. So we couldn't get past the city solicitor. And we felt if we tried it again, if we rewrote our appeal, he would be there again with another reason to deny us. That's why I decided to run for mayor. If I'm elected, day one, I will repeal the stormwater fee. I will spend only the money it takes to repair the dikes and meet the EPA requirements, which are more education about how to deal with water, sweeping the streets twice a year instead of once, and testing the water. These are not complicated, expensive EPA requirements.
John Riley's with us a long time. You're a native of Northampton?
No, I'm not. I'm a California native.
I see, but you've been here an awful long time. 40,
Awful long time. I found my home.
Me too. I'm not a native either. John Riley is a candidate for the mayor of Northampton, running against the incumbent David Narkowitz. We're going to take a break here. More with John Riley coming up in a sec. We're talking to John Riley here, who is the candidate for the mayor of Northampton, running against the incumbent David Narkowitz. You got a debate coming up on October 28th, what I understand.
That's tentative. I got a note just last night from the Gazette and the League of Women Voters. They have set a couple of tentative times and dates, October 28th being one of them. They will finalize that. It would be myself and the mayor and the two candidates for city clerk. So it'd be 2.5 hours
Wow.
of debate, back-to-back, mayor and city clerk. But those are the only races. We don't have any challengers to the 9 councilors, which
Isn't that funny, because in other times, East Hampton, for instance, has 1 million candidates. Greenfield's got everybody vying for different spots. Isn't it kind of funny that you don't have that in Northampton?
I don't know why that is. I think people just feel that, they don't have a chance, that they will, these incumbents will be in position forever. There are no term limits.
You'd be in favor of term limits, I take it.
I would, when the new charter comes up. I don't want to choose an arbitrary amount. I think it should be voted on. I think maybe 3 or 4 terms for city councilors. So I think absolutely 2 terms for the mayor. These are not lifetime positions. We do need fresh blood, and that would be one way to get it. I think what we're doing in challenging the status quo, in challenging the ordinance, it's creating some, opposition, I'm not going to call it a new party because it isn't, but some new political awareness in town. Some more citizen participation is what's really needed. And I want to show people that anybody can get up and have a voice. You don't have to be a lifetime politician to get up and say what you think and run for office. And I also want to give a shout out to 2 people on my team that are very, very important. Anthony Patillo, my campaign manager, couldn't be doing this without him, and my wife,
Building inspector, former building inspector for the city.
building commissioner,
Yeah.
and my wife, Patty Riley. These are 2 very important people to my campaign, and I wouldn't be doing it without either of them.
When you talk about a voice, you have spoken about this, and you're not the first one to do this. You seem to think that the wards 6 and 7 get a little bit lost in the shuffle here.
And they're huge.
Seems to be a more conservative part of town, and it almost, you've said it almost it gets ignored.
Well, Bob, this is a funny statistic. People don't really realize this. Florence is bigger than Northampton. Okay, this is a city of 28,000 people. I believe it breaks down something like close to 15,000 people live in Florence, Leeds, and the other portion lives in Northampton. We're bigger. If you drive out Ryan Road, you see house after house, neighborhood after neighborhood. We're huge. We have a giant portion of Northampton. And to just say that it's conservative really underplays what's changed. A lot of families have moved in to Florence, young families. The demographic is changing. One thing that I'm really aware of in Northampton is the affordability with taxes, fees, costs going up constantly. People that have lived here for a long time are being forced out, especially older people, maybe people on fixed incomes. They just can't afford to live in Northampton anymore.
John Riley, I know your kickoff is October 8th. It's going to be at the Florence Civic Center from noon to 4. How do people find out more about John Riley's campaign for the mayor of Northampton?
Go to Google, enter in John Riley for mayor. You will be directed to my Facebook page, to my homepage, to my YouTube videos, where I talk about what we stand for. Bob, you and I were talking about this is a new era of social media. Facebook has been fantastic for us, both with the repeal, the stormwater tax, which you can also find on Google. There's a lot of discussion, a lot of great information, a lot of background on how we got to where we are and our case against that tax. And then my Facebook page, John Riley for Mayor, very active, lots of information. And when you go there, there's a button, Learn More, where you can go to my homepage. It lays out my platform and shows that I am not a one-issue candidate. I've got a lot more going on than that. And my background and my vision for Northampton.
Beautiful. John Riley, candidate for the mayor of Northampton. We'll have to have you come in a little bit more often as the campaign really heats up.
Thank you. I hope that it does.
Good luck, John Riley.
Thanks, Bob.
It is 8:57 in the morning. That's going to do it for us. Stay out of trouble, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.